Hey guys, my name is Ola and you're welcome back to another brand new video. Hope you guys are keeping well, hope you guys are keeping good. So if you're new to my channel, you're welcome, and if you're also a returning subscriber, you're more than welcome. So without any further ado, I'm just gonna jump right into this video. So if you guys have not guessed by the title of today's video, is going to be how to get into nursing school and how to write your personal statement and also smash your interview question. So without any further ado, I'm just going to jump right into this video. My name is Ola and you're welcome to my channel. If you've enjoyed today's video, kindly give it a thumbs up the video, subscribe to my channel. That is going to allow me to know that you guys are definitely enjoying every single thing I'm giving to you guys, and also do share the video along with your family and friend. So I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about what the video entails today. Again, the topic is going to be how to get into nursing school, write your personal statement, and how to smash that interview. If this is your turn, keep watching. So I'm just gonna jump right into this video, and if you see me looking down, that is because I have my notes. I always have my notes so I don't go overboard. So how I got into nursing school. So basically what I did was I did a access to healthcare. Yes, I did a access to healthcare, and I managed to also, while I was doing that, I also was working in a nursing home, just to give me a little bit of background into nursing. I mean, I suppose when you work in a nursing home, that will give you a bit of a knowledge into what you're going to do as a career, probably for the rest of your life. So, and also prior to that, I already had a previous degree in business and management, and I also do have a postgrad as well in supply chain management. I decided to upskill myself. So so I did a previous job at a nursing home, and my experience from the nursing home assisted me in making that decision in terms of going forward with applying for nursing, and also going into nursing, and then indeed to decide, then I then have to decide whether I wanted to go in as a adult nursing, or as a child nursing, or as a mental health nursing, or as a learning disability. So in the UK there are many branches that fall under nursing. So it's either you want to be an adult nurse, or a mental health nurse, or a learning disability nurse, or child nursing. And also, when I concluded in making that decision regarding where I wanted to be or where I wanted to see myself, and I then went ahead to conclude that I see myself working with an adult. I enjoy working with an adult. So I then decided to conclude that, okay, I'm going to go into adult nursing. So I concluded with adult nursing, which gives me the opportunity to be able to with adult nursing. I suppose it gives you an opportunity to be able to also tap into other field. You are not, you have that unlimited in terms of where you could actually be, rather than being limited, if that make a lot of sense. So, and like I said before as well, I did have a previous degree in business and management, which I studied in Ireland for 4 years. Business and management, and then I went ahead to do my postgrad as well in Ireland in supply chain management in Carlow Institute of Technology, which is now known as University of Technology Carlow, and also the same with the university that I did my BSc in management. Is now known as a University Technology or something. That being said, on concluding, when I came here to the UK, I wanted to kind of like navigate myself around. Even though I already had a previous degree, I didn't have to do the access to the healthcare. My degree was fantastic. My degree was fantastic enough for me. So, but because I was new to the country, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody who could help or support me. I literally do all my own work by myself without no support from nobody. So what I now ended up doing was I decided to take on the access course to give me more in-depth as to what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life, because I don't want to go into something and then I later on in the future query if it was actually meant for me. When I concluded that I was going to do adult nursing, Then I applied through UCAS into university, and while I was still in college while studying, I picked 5 different universities. I cannot really remember them all in order because it's been a while, but I remember picking 5 different universities that I wanted to study. And once I have chosen the top 5, I then minimized it to 3 options that I sort of, feel it's the most closest to me, because here in the UK you have to consider commuting, you have to consider location, you have to consider other factors, because when it comes to placement, you have to be in your work before 7 o'clock, so you don't want to feel of pressure you're not having enough time to get to your placement area, or when you have lectures as well, you don't want to feel like you're under pressure that you're not having enough time from where you're living to where your unit is. So I wanted, and then I sort of I also did check for requirements on every single universities that I did put in for. So for example, I put in for my top one was actually Anglo-Ruskin University, which was located in Cambridge. Cambridge was not too far out for me, but then again, I did wanted to narrow it down to where I feel like that is where my calling was. So I checked the requirements to know what they require in order to get into the uni, and then I had the University of Bedfordshire. I believe I did had University of Northampton, and I think I also did put is it Kingston University in London. So I can't remember the last one, but I had 5. I had picked 5, and then I went to their university website to check for the requirements. And while I was also taking my access to healthcare, which was a diploma, I was speaking along with my lecturer as well, so I was able to start up with my personal statement. So I did get help with the personal statement because I wanted it to stand out. So I started working on it when I checked the requirements that the university required. So what they required from you in order, because it's very important for you to know what the requirements are for every single university you want to go. And all of the university I picked were mainly for adult nursing. So at that point I've already I knew that adult nursing was where I wanted to be. So, and then in my head I sort of knew Bedford University was not too far out from me, so was Anglo-Ruskin University. But then I wanted, in terms of, because I've got 3 children as well, and sometimes, especially because I started my journey during the COVID period, I wanted not to feel under pressure, especially maybe God forbid if I needed to collect my children from school or from childcare or blah blah blah. So I didn't want to put myself into that pressure. So what I now narrowed it down to was I ended up considering University of Bedfordshire. They do have different branches. They have one in Luton, and then they had one in Aylesbury. But yeah, so and then I narrowed it down to University of Bedfordshire, and I was able to know that with my access to healthcare, my grades were really, really good. I was falling within distinction and merit, so I was very comfortable that I don't have to think about going into the clearing stage because my grades were really, really good. Also, I did wanted Anglo-Ruskin, but I was looking at the location in terms of collecting my children, which was not going to be beneficial to me. So you also do have to consider that to read around late submission. God forbid if your grades were not good enough, if you're not getting the grades you should be getting, you need to read around late submission policy, which in case you did not make, maybe when you haven't made up your mind on where you want to be and what will happen to you if you don't apply on time. And also, if you're putting in a late application for an exam, what if the policy around failing, God forbid, yourself when it comes to assessments, exam and everything. So how does the uni handle it? So you need to always make sure you do all those investigations about the university you intend to go. You need to know what their policy is around late submission and blah blah blah. And God forbid, if you have to drop out of nursing, or let's say, for example, you missed out on an exam or an assessment, do you have the opportunity at that university to repeat it, or do you have to wait a whole year? Because some of the universities are very strict when it comes to nursing. It's either you may, with Bedfordshire, you could repeat the second time, but if you fail it, then I believe it's automatically failed. Comments on the comment section if I've said that wrongly, but that was what I believed. So also you have to think about transportation. That is the reason why I narrowed the university down to where I feel it was the most closest to myself. So think about the transportation. If you want to think about the expenses, is it far from your home to commute? Also, you have to consider your placement as well, because there's a policy around when you're going to work late, so you really don't want to get them to start calling you out for concern because you're not getting to work on time and those kind of stuff. Also, do you have to plan to move to university? There's that other option as well for you to consider, if you should consider moving to the university and studying, or maybe you should commute from home. In my case, I was commuting from my home to university and also to placement, because that was the most easiest thing for me to do. So after checking about the how to commute and location and all those kind of things around getting into work from your home, like I said, I did a diploma in healthcare, and along with my previous degree in business in management, which was a 4-year degree course. And I think you have to have a certain criteria, maybe like a second class upper or something, before you get into some certain university. That is the reason why you have to make sure you check for their requirements to make sure you're falling within all that. On that, it's more like a checklist. You have to make sure you have everything they are looking for. So like I said, I have a previous degree in business in management. Also, make sure you had all your previous qualifications. So if you have any qualification in biomedical science, any marketing, but you have to follow and ensure you have the criteria that is being asked by the university. So you might literally be like, okay, I have this degree, but do you have the requirements? Are you meeting the requirements in order to do it? So I had followed every single thing. I had made sure I had the requirements. I was literally like bang on, checking my UCAS, checking the university that I put in for. So if you have to be, also you have to be prepared to prove all the evidence you are going to put down on your UCAS. So for example, you put down that you've done access to healthcare, you need to have a certificate. If you've put down that you have a biomedical science, a BS in biomedical science, you have to make sure you also have the documentation. So not just saying it, you have to be able to prove it. So with myself, if you're like an A class, when I did my diploma to access to healthcare, I had my grades were very good, so I wasn't really worried about what university. So that really did help me, because I was meeting up with the distinction and my merit. But if you're getting really bad grade, then you have to start considering clearing. I believe there's a thing called clearing under UCAS, that maybe if you're not meeting up with the first round, then it will definitely go into clearing. So do have a look around UCAS as well and read around clearing. So when I decided that, when I've concluded that adult nursing was my call, always make sure you go back and check the university entry requirements, before, when you want to apply. It is very important for you to keep updating yourself regarding the requirements. Also, you get to choose 5 universities. Like I said, I picked Anglia University, Bedfordshire University. There was one in London that I picked, and then Northampton University. I cannot recollect the last one. Go back again and check what their entry requirements are. Then make a thorough assessment. You have to make a thorough assessment. Which uni will be most likely suitable, and which uni will be most likely accepting you. So that's why I said it depends on what grades you have. If you know that you're banged on with your grades, then you don't really have to worry too much about it. But if you know your grades are poor, then you need to want to bring the grades up, so that by the time you get to the stage of clearing, you might be lucky enough for that university to still give you the opportunity. Again, it boils down to the university that you've actually applied for. So like I said, so checked all requirements to all university prior to applying. So before I even applied, I went to the university website. I went to Anglia-Ruskin University website. I went to Bedfordshire University website, and then I went to what's it called? Is it Kingston? I did apply for Kingston as well University. I checked for their requirements, and then luckily my grades were good. So all the university I chose, and I had interview for every single university, and they all accepted me. And in my case was because I had been doing all this research while I was also going to school. So I was checking the online, I was checking the university, I was making sure I was following what the requirements were. So that was how it helped me. So once you find yourself to be accepted, I ended up finding myself to be accepted in all the university, then you're fine. It means that you have choices to pick from, unlike when you don't have a choice. For example, maybe when you picked 5 university and only one came back to agree to want to accept you, so you don't really have much choices in that sense. So after you get accepted, I started location. So I broke it down into where was the closest by to me, where is the closest location to me in terms of where I want to be if I have to collect my children on an emergency. So I narrowed my options down to where was the closest university. As much as I did wanted to go to Anglia-Ruskin University, they did not offer the master's degree course, because my course is a master's degree. So they only offered it in Bedfordshire University and other university like that. So that was the reason why I also opted in for Bedfordshire University. I'm going to be doing an in-depth video on pre-registration masters in adult nursing. That is going to be on another entirely different video. Today's video, like I said, it's going to be around how to get into nursing, how to prepare your UCAS and all that kind of stuff. Anglia-Ruskin grades are also, you have to consider, like, that's why I said yeah, I went in with Bedford University, which was located in Luton, and I concluded that was where I wanted to go. Also, you have to think about the location, and you have to think about the requirements as well. With Anglia University, their grades are very high. So let's say, for example, you concluded that you wanted to go to Anglia University, you have to be able to keep up with that grades, because once you start, they have a certain criteria that you have to be meeting up with. So even though I did get accepted, but it was too far for me, especially when collecting my children, because the entry requirements are very high, and you have to be able to maintain that high academic level requirement going forward. If you like that this is the kind of pressure you want to put yourself in, you can knock yourself out and pick the university based on your preference. But in my case, I picked Bedfordshire University, and I eliminated every other university that came around. And I also did get a scholarship because I picked one university over another university. Again, I'll do another video on that part going forward, but you know, this video is not about that. When you put application on UCAS as well, you do get some sort of like a reward for picking one university over. I didn't even know that I was going to get that as well, but I got a reward, like a mini scholarship, for picking one university over the other. And always make sure you look for all the alternatives by making all of that decision for yourself. So any decision you're making regarding why am I going to pick Northampton University over Bedfordshire University, be rest assured that this is the reason why you're going to do it, and you know, it's because it's the best decision for you. So always be prepared-minded about that. So for the first interview, which was Bedfordshire University, we got an information sent out to our email regarding what date it was and when we have to go. So what I did in my case was to find out about sample questions that they have asked previous students. You know, sometimes talk to other people who are in the university, see what their requirements are regarding their interview questions. Also go online or YouTube yourself, see if you can find any information that is going to assist you along with your interview, which was what I did in my case. So with Bedfordshire University, we were put collectively and then segregated, and we were put it into different parts, like part A, part B, part C, in different parts, and then they have this mini room, and then they start calling you out based on what group you've been allocated to. In my case, I was the second person on the list, so imagine having that kind of a pressure on you. So I went in and they started asking me questions around nursing. So with Bedfordshire University, they were asking me question about tell us about yourself. So what I did in that case was I spoke about my previous degree, which was in business in management, and then I also spoke about my diploma in access to healthcare, and that was what the first question was with University of Bedfordshire. Then the next question was more of like a scenario-based question, which was about they were trying to test your communication. Why? So what will you do if you had a patient who can't talk or had a language barrier? So in that case, I just said you can use both a verbal and non-verbal as a form of communication, or you can also have a billboard and get them to write. Just because there's a barrier there does not mean that there aren't other alternative of being able to get across to a patient. So that was what I said there. And then another one was like another scenario. The third one was also another scenario-based question. Luckily for us in University of Bedfordshire, we didn't do any mathematics. When I did mine, we didn't have to do any mathematics. Whereas when I went for Anglo-Ruskin University, we had about 3 panel of judges. So they put us into this kind of like different categories and stuff like that. So one panel will come ask you to come. They could ask you question like, tell us about yourself, or why would you want to come to University of Anglo-Ruskin. They'll finish their part with you, and then you go to the next panel. I think they were only trying to do that to kind of like see how well you communicate, how well you interact, and those kind of stuff like that. So yeah, and then you had the third one, and then you finish it and everything. They just want to see how you interact and ask. They also did ask a scenario question as well, given an example of what will you do if a patient they didn't receive a very good care when they went, I can't recollect all of the questions. It's been like almost 3 years now, so you can imagine. So they did, and the asking did give a scenario-based question as well. So going forward, and like I said, make sure that you do a research about the university, e.g. that's why I spoke about, make sure that you're happy with the location, and this, like, and also what, also they ask about why do I want to come to Anglo-Ruskin. So it is very important to read around Anglo-Ruskin and why you would like to go to Anglo-Ruskin University. Also talk about your CCs, which are like your communication, your competency, your care, your commitment. They are just testing you to see your knowledge about if you have any understanding. They are not there to put you out. They're just, the interviewers are just trying to get to know you. And so going forward with my personal statement, which was the UCAS personal statement, the amount of length, the length is about 4,000 characters, I think I remember, word limit, and then around 550 to about 1,000 word with spaces. So that was the personal statement. So with the personal statement, I recollect that you start with maybe an introduction. Yeah, I believe it started with an introduction. So in my case, I just said that I consider myself to be a maternal person, and that's because I've got 3 children of my own, which I literally like cater for, and I look after them. And I also said that I did have a previous experience working in a nursing home where I looked after patients with dementia, Alzheimer, patients with learning disability and stuff like that. So I sort of like was selling myself while I was writing my personal statement. And what I also did was I was getting my lecturers to kind of be looking at it, so we're kind of like sending each other draft. There's nothing as good as having like a mentor who would guide you, so you don't miss your road while you're going. So always make sure you have a guide and a support person in uni or in college who can help you along with your personal statement. So that was what I did when I did the access to healthcare. So I did have somebody who would help me look at my draft, and they would be like, okay, take this one out, maybe add this to it. But it was solely all my work. They were just there to just guide me along. And then with the personal statement, and then I want to talk about how it has shaped me as a mom, as a person, and how I grew from working in a nursing home, and also helped me how I developed the necessary skills in order to deal with patients. And I went on to talk about how I was also working as a healthcare assistant and then a social support worker. So you need to be able to bring all of your experience into it, because they want to be able to see what are the skills and competency, or what experiences have you had before you can get into nursing. So, and then I also spoke about assisting patients with personal care when I was working in a nursing home, and providing dignity, empathy, and also respecting patients' choices and stuff. Also promoting person-centered care. So that is very, very important to be inclusive in your personal statement. These are the things I have written down around my personal statement. Also allowing patients to do personal care independently if that particular patient is happy and safe, if they have the mental capacity to be able to do it, and if they have the ability, then you should be able to encourage that kind of a patient to do things independently while giving them like a minimal assistance. And then I went on to I spoke around my grandmother back in Nigeria when she was very, very ill, when she was critically ill, how my mother supported her and how I supported my mother while supporting my grandmother. I spoke about the kind of a person-centered care that I provided for her, like talking about maybe assisting with eating and drinking, regularly repositioning her, and providing good clothing for her to keep her warm, and stuff like that. And I also spoke about my future goals, because I already had a previous degree, which was 4 years from Institute of Technology Tyler in Ireland. I spoke around it, that I did it for 4 years. It was not easy doing it and completing it, and then going ahead to do my postgraduate degree in supply chain management. So I spoke around that, and I said that if that kind of opportunity presents myself, I would like to see myself progress forward in the future. So that was what I spoke around my future development. And then I started off with, like I said, with the personal statement. You start off with the introduction, then you link it to your experience, then I spoke around the reason for choosing adult nursing. And then also don't forget to make sure that your personal statement is very personal to you. There are many examples out there on Google and internet and blah blah blah. You might feel really like close to want to read around them. Knock yourself out reading around them. But your personal statement, there's a reason why it's called a personal statement. It's supposed to talk about you as a person, because they are trying to know you. Because when you get your interview, which I did recollected when I had my interview with University of Bedfordshire, they literally had my personal statement with me, and most of my questions did come around what my personal statement said. So also remember that not to copy personal statement, because you're going to get plagiarized for it, and it's an automatic fail. You don't really want to start off your career going that path. So if you're struggling, that's the reason why when I was in college, I was able to link up with a lecturer, whereas every time I have a draft regarding my personal statement, I will show it to them. They will guide me to tell me what elements, parts that there's a grammatic error, or there's a spelling error, or all those kind of stuff. I read it to myself a lot of times as well. So don't, like, that's why it's called a personal statement, because it has to be something very personal to yourself. So these are everything I believe I spoke around regarding how to get into nursing and how to write a personal statement. And I'll probably put like a sample personal statement on the side of this video if I can, and how to pass your interview. The interview, what I did was I ensured I knew where the places were a day before in advance. I literally like put it on my location, and with Bedfordshire I just went in to just check where it was, just to have an idea. Not everybody may get the luxury to do that. I drive, so it was easier for me to do that. I also found out what kind of clothing I should wear in terms of presenting myself to the interviewers. That would help me as well. I also spoke to people around their questions area. I did my own research online to figure out what sort of question they were looking for, and all these things that I have done had ended up assisting me to get the course into doing my course, which I ended up concluding, doing the masters in adult nursing. And these are all the information I'm going to pass around with you guys. Again, my name is Nurse Ola, which is OLA. I do hope you guys have enjoyed today's video on how to get into nursing, school / personal statement / passing interview. If you do have enjoyed this video, kindly give me a thumbs up, kindly like the video, kindly share and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And don't forget, you are capable of doing it, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Do take care, guys, and see you in the next one. Adios guys, bye.